Let's get to our chief meteorologist, Mike Nelson, who has been with us all evening long. Mike, you can really see how the wind has died down and as the damage is starting to take definition.
Some encouraging news on the winds for sure, but we have a very, very long night ahead. Conditions will improve dramatically tomorrow with colder weather and some snow coming in, but let's focus on what's been happening over the last 6 hours. This is the plume of smoke as seen from radar. The smoke particles big enough that they can be picked up, much like you'd see rain, hail, or snow on a regular radar picture. Now, just in recent hours, we're starting to see that smoke cloud get a little colder. Right at the end of the loop here, you'll see some blue showing up there. That's a sign as temperatures are dropping a little bit in the atmosphere, things are starting to stabilize just a little bit. But this is a huge smoke plume. It goes all the way out to the Kansas-Nebraska border across eastern Colorado, and many of our viewers have sent in pictures of the sunset on the eastern plains showing clearly that smoke off to the south and west of us. Now, at the present time, there's very little in the way of any precipitation around here, but we do have some good news. There is some on the way. The area that's filling in is under a winter weather advisory for tomorrow, and that includes the Denver-Boulder area. Winter storm warnings to the west, and we're actually seeing that winter storm warning extending down a little bit closer down into the metro now. This is brand new, so we may see some heavier snows, perhaps up to about 6 inches of snow coming up, but it's not until tomorrow and tomorrow night. Across the state, we also have that coming in as well. The winds have diminished a little bit, down to about 20 miles per hour in the Boulder area, but they're still pretty gusty. Now, this is a map about 2 hours ago showing the small-scale wind vectors around the area. This really developed into a firestorm. If you've read about the fire bombings during World War II, when these flames develop and get so big and hot, they create their own weather, just pulling in the oxygen to build that fire bigger and bigger. So this was the view of the winds coming in from the west like a bellows off the foothills into that fire, and then also feeding in from different directions at the surface. This from a flight leaving Denver heading to Seattle, and you can see the large area here at dusk that is in flames across the northwest part of the Denver area and southeastern Boulder County. As far as our weather headlines, it's kind of a trifecta of just terrible things, because we had the hurricane force winds, the extreme drought, the very warm December, and let's not lose sight of the climate change connection on this. In the last 6 months, we've had record heat and record drought here along the Front Range. Combination of that, along with the winds that we oftentimes get, especially during a La Nina winter, set the stage for this catastrophe. It's all related to the changes we're seeing not only here in Colorado, but worldwide due to a warming world. As far as our weather today, the high temperature was 49, 17 was the low, 44 and 18 are the averages. We've already had a dozen days in the 60s, though, so far this month of December. 46 right now in Denver. At the airport, it's 38. The pressure is rising. The winds have lightened up quite a bit. Here's a little bit of good news over the next 24 hours. The first significant snowfall that we've had all season long along the Front Range. Combination of a storm coming in from the west and a very cold air mass dropping southward. As these come together across Colorado tonight, heavy snows develop in the mountains. Not much expected overnight on the plains. The low temperatures drop down to 25 in Denver, 23 at Fort Collins, Greeley 22, mainly 20s in the mountains. Boulder by morning dropping down to around 31 degrees. Broomfield at 29 with much lighter winds expected overnight. Now, tomorrow morning, we start out dry along the Front Range with just some high clouds, but not nearly as windy, and the snow heavy in the mountains. By the time we get to midday, here comes that front sliding southward, and as it does, that means the winds shift, become northeasterly, and temperatures tumble. We'll see lows dropping down to near zero by early Saturday morning. Much colder air coming in, and with it, it's going to be a dry, fluffy snow, but we could see up to 6 inches of snow in the Denver-Boulder area by morning. Much cooler tomorrow, just in the 30s here. Southeastern Colorado still in the 50s. And here is that snowfall forecast coming up. It looks pretty good for us, about 3 to 5 on the plains, a little heavier up to close to 6 inches across southeastern Boulder County, and 1 to 2 feet of snow in the mountains. Looking ahead, this comes through with an action day tomorrow and into Saturday. We'll look at those very cold temperatures coming up Friday night and Saturday night down into the single digits. And then next week, a little bit warmer again, but not looking as windy, with another chance of some snow coming up by next Thursday. So weather conditions were absolutely the worst possible they could be
Yeah.
today, it does look like it gets better in the next 24 to 36 hours.
So let me ask you this, Mike, before you you leave us for this time. I don't know the recipe breakdown, the ratio. Is the amount of snow we're going to get tomorrow enough to extinguish these flames or just enough to help?
It'll help tremendously. The wind shifting and the snow coming in with the colder temperatures. If you melt that snow down, it's going to be probably about a third of an inch of water, because it's going to be a pretty dry, fluffy snow coming in tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. So it's not like it's going to be a big soaking situation, but snowfall will help tremendously. But the biggest story for tonight and tomorrow morning is once these winds die down, we can finally get ahead of these flames and begin to let the firefighters really do their jobs.
All right, well, let's focus on some good news. Mike, thank you for that. We sure appreciate your help tonight.